Are climbing gyms a good business for the future, even to past 2030? Well, before you invest 500K into rubber mats and chalk dust, I need to tell you a few things. Number one, the most important thing is that you find local demand, proof of local demand for the location you wish to open in, because there's a lot of big costs associated with this business, and it needs a strong community, and it is high risk in some elements. So let's get into it. So the startup costs are crazy. You're looking at anywhere from 30K to 500K just to build the walls that people climb on. And it depends on the size and the location and the country you're in. You also need insurance, staffing, locker rooms, bathrooms, holds, which are the grips on the wall that you can plug out and plug back in to change up the walls to make them less boring for your customers that keep coming back. And you also need mats, because there are two types of gyms that are climbing. There's the bouldering gyms, which are basically you can climb to a certain height and you can fall back down onto mats. The other one, you need actually harnesses, ropes, another partner to hold the rope while you go up and down, and in case you fall down. So it gets expensive. And costs for these kinds of mats and safety gear and grips and holds, it's anywhere from 20 to 150K depending on the size of the gym you want to build. You also need a lot of space, maybe a big warehouse or an old airplane hangar or something. And rent can cost anywhere from 50K to 500K depending on the location, especially if you open in a big city. You might need multiple floors of a building and renovate it to break out it, so you can have 3 floors into one unit to have the right height you need to make it, a climbing gym. So let's look at the profitability. This is why I say it's quite risky, because you can get the same kind of margins with a normal gym, which has a more stable target market. People are more likely to continue going to gyms just for general fitness and health versus a trend like rock climbing. It's like scuba diving or skydiving. It's a niche kind of community, and it's a phase or a hobby people can just get over, whereas fitness in general, like gyms, has a more stable demand with the same margins. So it's a bit of a less of a risk if you're just going to open a standard gym. But you do have additional sources of revenue. So you have memberships, day passes, lessons, and you can even rent or sell the gear like climbing shoes and things like this, or harnesses and chalk. So you also have, after the setup, you have quite low cost of sales. So it starts becoming profitable after you invest such a large sum of money and inject the business with it. But remember, 2/3 of your revenue are staffing combined with rent. So keep that in mind. Let's look at the future projections for growth to 2030 and beyond. So it is expected to double from 3.3 billion in 2023 to 6.1 in 2030. That's almost the double in 7 years. And there are lots of trends that are supporting this, like higher disposable incomes, urban lifestyle, health trends, and then this sport was even used in the Olympics. So it has Olympics exposure in 2020, in Tokyo and Paris 2024, and for the future in LA 2028, making climbing more mainstream. Don't forget about all the influencers and YouTubers who make content and are very popular. Some of them have a lot of subscribers and they're only growing. What about the other trends? So we talked about bouldering gyms with no ropes, and they're faster growing and lower cost, because if you're gonna just go and do it and you don't have a partner, you can't really do the one where you need the harness and the rope. But with the bouldering gym, where you can just climb up and fall back onto the mats, it's a bit more accessible. But the most important thing about these businesses is community. So people are not going to go unless they're going to go with friends to meet up. That's the big part, where they fall down and talk about how they're going to scale that wall and this and that strategy and all this, stuff. So what about other types of hybrids of this business? Well, we're seeing a lot of gyms have specific walls for climbing now, where they have either a standard one with the ropes and everything, or they just have a bouldering one within big gyms. We're seeing some of them just add that element to it. And there's also, like I said, it's all about community. If you don't have a community in that area you want to open in, or you're not going to be able to get people from competitors to come to your gym, it's really a high risk kind of business. Whereas gyms, regular gyms, again, most of their money comes from people not even showing up, but just they feel healthy by paying that monthly membership. This is a bit different, and that's why it's a bit risky. So it's a fragmented but expanding competitive landscape. What do I mean by that? In the US, there's around one gym for every 550,000 people. 870 gyms in North America as of 2024, so it's maybe a bit higher by now. And in Europe, the market is around 883 million in 2023, and it's expected to be 2.2 billion by 2034. That's a big market. Asia Pacific, it's still in progress and it's developing, especially in China, Japan, Korea, Australia. It's kind of a niche sport, but it's okay. It's growing slowly. What about saturation risks in dense areas? So this is the big thing. You have really high cost of rent, and there are only a few suburbs that are untapped really around the globe in those markets that we want to target that are first world countries. But the problem is, being a first mover is always a big risk. You never know what's going to happen. If there's going to be enough demand, maybe your feasibility study told you that there would be, but you weren't able to market and grow it properly, which is the risk involved in this business. And what happens if you do well and then you have a competitor open right next to you? It's not a huge market to where you can survive potentially. You might end up dying because of that competitor if one new gym opens next to you. So what about the customer base? Let's look at the type of clients we're dealing with here. It's usually families, students, young professionals, all want a community vibe. 65% are between 18 to 35 and health conscious and social. We have a balanced kind of in gender split. It's 58% men, 42% women. And there's a high churn rate danger, so that means 60 to 70% annual turnover without any loyalty programs. And then we also have opportunities for events, leagues, loyalty programs, app integrations, and that's the best way we can keep members, basically. And we're also having, in terms of the technology and innovation side of this industry, some advancements. So AR, AI, climbing visual guidance, where you can get practice sessions like that. Auto belay devices, so you can just go down a lot faster. And maybe you can do solo climbing too, because that was the big issue with the ones where you need the harness, you need a partner. And then we have wearables and trackables like Apple Watches. Now there's an app called Redpoint that lets you track your progress with climbing and bouldering. And then we have booking apps, community challenges, and real-time leaderboards to keep things more fun. And because of the target market is health conscious, usually they're going to be environmentally conscious. So a lot of these gyms brand themselves as eco-friendly. This is 100% recycled plastic and all that nonsense, which is exactly what the target market is interested in. Plus all the smart gym concepts, like maybe haptic feedback in the grips and things like this to make it more interesting and smart. That's how they set themselves in the competition. Like we said, in North America, it's growing and it's the largest market, whereas in EU, we have strong demand and it's projected to double. And the problem with North America and the EU is you have a lot of mountainous areas, so you're also not just competing with competitors, but the natural environment, which a lot of these climbers will go to. Your unique selling point is that you have a stable indoor environment where you can control the weather, there's light. It's not like at night, climbing at night, some mountain or something. So it's a bit more accessible. What about Asia Pacific and ASEAN countries? Well, it's faster going, and it's expected to be 1.6 billion by 2023. So there's a lot of big potential there. And in terms of the rest of the world, Latin America is still in the early stages of growth. Whereas the Middle East, in Arabic countries, it's kind of like a luxury thing, where you'll see it in the fancy gym. They'll have a bouldering wall, for example, that you can go and climb on. But I don't know if there's that stable amount of demand in niche communities in those yet that have developed among the youth to where it would warrant opening specifically only bouldering gyms, nor do I have any data on how well those businesses are doing that have gone that route. So what are the final considerations? Like I said, it's very expensive. Just the equipment, building a facility that can have height enough for this whilst being not too far away from high density population areas, and then being sure from your feasibility study that there will be demand in the community. That's your big crucial question you need to figure out, and that's the risk you're taking when you could just open a regular gym with the same amount of margins that you'll be making with less risk. So if you do have a local business, it could be a bouldering gym, it could be a regular gym, it could be any kind of business, and you want more local customers to find you faster, the best method is Google Maps. So I help local businesses around the world rank higher on Google Maps and attract local customers faster. And if that's interesting to you, you can book a free call with me at a time that's most convenient to you, with the link vortexranker.com. Hope you found this useful, learned a few things. Have a great day. Take care.